Much has been said already about the BBC lack of partiality with the recent events concerning the doctoring of Donald Trump speech, but also going back to the Israel-Hamas war. And at the time, many of us were wondering, why is it that a national broadcaster refuses to call Hamas a terrorist organization? I mean, there's nothing impartial about calling Hamas a terrorist organization because it is a prescribed terrorist organization. But nevertheless, the BBC found it very, very difficult as a matter of policy to use that word in relation to Hamas. And we also remember Gary Lineker seemingly justifying the rape and murder that took place on October the 7th by making a point that there was some context to that. How can you possibly justify such thing? So there had to be an explanation. There had to be something to explain this almost illogical and pathological behavior. So I needed an answer. So I started digging, just trying to understand what could have possibly caused this nearly entire news organization to behave in such a way, almost against the national interest of the British people. And then I did a little bit of research, and this is what I found out. Now, imagine that you are a BBC correspondent, newsreader, sport commentator, whenever, and you come to towards the end of your career. You're still young, you've got a lot of experience, you've got a nice pension waiting for you, but you don't want to do something with your life. There seems to be a path open for nearly any BBC correspondent who wishes to move on with their career. And this path is called Al Jazeera. So my research revealed dozens and dozens of BBC correspondents, news editors, journalists who made that move from the BBC to Al Jazeera. Now I personally do watch Al Jazeera every now and then. In fact, I believe Al Jazeera more than I believe the news that's coming out of the BBC. We all know who Al Jazeera is. Al Jazeera is owned by Qatar, and Qatar, of course, is the sponsor and protectorate of Hamas. And that might explain why the BBC correspondents and newsreaders are cozying up or have been cozying up to Hamas. That may also explain why, on occasions, the very same people at the BBC work against the national interest of the British people by supporting Qatar, Hamas, by being anti-American, by being anti-Israel, and so on and so forth. I mean, this is the list, right? I'm going to read some of it to you. Tamar Amishali, BBC Gaza producer, moved to Al Jazeera. Nick Spicer, BBC correspondent, moved to Al Jazeera. Barbara Sira, BBC London News, moved to Al Jazeera. Jackie Rowland, BBC foreign correspondent, moved to Al Jazeera. Sahil Rahman, BBC presenter, moved to Al Jazeera. Louisa Pilbeam, BBC journalist, moved to Al Jazeera. Barnaby Phillips, BBC Africa correspondent, moved to Al Jazeera. Raji Umar, BBC foreign correspondent, moved to, Al Jazeera. Yvonne Nedge, BBC Panorama Newsnight, guess where she moved to? Al Jazeera. Anita McNaught, BBC foreign correspondent, moved to, Al Jazeera. Rob McClary, BBC weather presenter, he also found his way to Al Jazeera. Rob Motherson, BBC Scotland, moved to Al Jazeera. Phil Level, BBC London News, moved to Al Jazeera. Ziena Koda, oh my God, I've got a whole list of it. Here's a few more. Miriam Franquis, BBC World Service, moved to Al Jazeera. Ahmed Fakwari, BBC Arabic social media presenter, moved to Al Jazeera. Shuilia Ghosh, BBC presenter, moved to Al Jazeera. Divya Goplan, BBC News 24, moved to Al Jazeera.